So welcome back to obviously Fight Talk. UFC Fight Night 128 goes down this weekend. It's Barboza versus Lee, and we got on supposedly analyst. We're not saying he's the best. We're just saying there's nobody better. Brendan Dorman.
So supposedly, thank you. Let's do this, gents.
This is a sneak up out of the weeds, cracking fight card on Saturday night, lads.
Love it.
It's literally, we were like, what are we going to talk about this week when we're doing the show? And then we went, oh, the card this week, we'll obviously break it down. And I turned the card on and went, this is not a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
This is all the hallmarks of a pay-per-view card.
Yeah, minus like a
title fight.
Pay-per-view, like super draw.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Minus a title fight.
Yeah. There's no lightning rod at the top. But every other fight is fantastic, you know?
Can we not throw an interim title in there and make this a pay-per-view?
Yeah.
No?
There's only 40 in rotation. I think it's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. It's below 50, yeah?
Yeah.
Once it's below 50.
Yeah.
Let's start at the top, though, gentlemen. Let's look at Edson Barboza taking on Kevin Lee. And this has potentially fight of the year so far happened on Saturday night. Does this potentially have the chance to go and compete with that?
No.
Yeah.
I can see one or the other dominating, honestly.
His reaction was hilarious. He just goes, okay.
Sorry, man. Come back.
Just,
Jeez, you try to build something up like.
I think it's a stylistic thing.
I agree.
It's not going to be a war of attrition. I think it's going to be who's better on the chessboard. Because Lee's striking has gotten better pretty substantially from fight to fight. And that's probably Dewey Cooper being a good athlete, being a smart dude. A lot of things go into that, right? Edson is an amazing striker with amazing takedown defense against anyone not named Khabib. Yeah. So Kevin Lee's wrestling, we'll see, because he's certainly put it out there like his wrestling is on par with Khabib's. I disagree there, but it is what it is. We'll see. I just can see it being like, let's say his takedowns do have the efficacy that he kind of claims they do, right? And he can get Edson down, can keep him down, because he does like open, what I would call an open field takedown, whereas Khabib likes to take you down close to the fence. This is no secret.
Yeah.
Point, right? And then he can kind of smush you, right? So even with Barboza's ability to maybe like cage crawl, he still was nullifying a lot of that. I don't see Lee doing all of that, so it'll be a different kind of takedown defense. It's going to be more initial.
Do you think
searching for underhooks, head control, etc. I think Barboza has more knockout power, and Lee's certainly the better grappler with comparable striking almost.
Yeah. So in a throwback way, is it who can implement their game plan in this fight?
Definitely.
I think so.
And I know that's become pretty cliche, but I think it'll be that. I want to see where they're both at now, too. Yeah. Both coming off, fighting the two very best in the division. Yeah. Or it should be anyway. It's interesting. It's really interesting to see where they're both at as far as, like, what's their preparation going to be like? Who's going to be aggressive? Honestly, I think it's going to be like a footwork chess match. I think it's going to kind of come down to who's better with their angling of attack, and that can be for takedowns too. That's not striking.
Because what I think, we were talking about it earlier when we were talking about fighters falling away and having a defeat or whatever. I think a lot of people now, after the Ferguson defeat to Kevin Lee, it's like people's memory is short. You got to remember going into that fight as well that Kevin Lee had substantial staph infection as well. So how important was that in the fight, in the outcome? So I think as well coming in here, you're going to see a different Kevin Lee. And again, it's quite, fans will forget that aspect, that his last defeat against Tony Ferguson, who was up until last week the interim champion. He was doing all right against Ferguson. But
I think you can argue he's doing better than all right against Ferguson. Yeah. And I think Brendan's point of both guys like going against two of the best guys in the division, and they almost coming out of those fights, and not that either guy would want this, but they almost have a bit of a kind of an excuse, like in a way, as in Barboza fought probably the scariest lightweight in the division, the most dominant lightweight in the division, stayed in there for 3 rounds and they didn't get finished. And then Lee went in there against a really, really tough guy in Ferguson who became the interim champion with staph infection and had him mounted in the first round. And who knows, if he didn't have staph infection, could he have finished him? Maybe. It's an argument there. So both guys coming in with confidence.
It's a noteworthy question.
Exactly, yeah. Both guys will be coming in, I think, with a lot of confidence. I think maybe Lee will be coming in with a little bit more because that loss, I think, for Edson against Khabib was very loss, he was getting beat up, but both have coming in. It's not they're coming on off bad losses. They're coming on off losses that are fairly acceptable by looking at them, you know.
Well, the whole levels of this game, I think, comes into it, and Ferguson and Khabib are top of the level department of food chain. So the guys fell short just at that end. But this is the big one as well. With the both coming off losing, I think that's a big part as well. Is that Kevin Lee had his moments, he had his success against Ferguson, while Edson Barboza was just absolutely dominated for 3 rounds. So momentum and confidence, and how big a part does that play in the fighter's main game? You know, like coming off. Like, at least Lee can look at his moments against Ferguson and go, I done that well, and I done well there, I should have done this maybe. While Edson Barboza is going, I should have covered up there and not get hit there. You know what I mean? He's looking at, there was nothing good apart from he didn't get finished against Khabib, you know? And that's not the monocle a fighter wants to be known as, you know?
What I was gonna say is if they're doing, I don't know, not every fighter watches film, which is really unfortunate, really. Kevin Lee can watch film from his fight of the 2, his last fight, and gain something from it, right? Barboza's got to do some film watch on Lee, if that makes sense. There's nothing by watching the Khabib fight he's going to learn about himself.
That's a good point.
Not really. I mean, very little. Kevin Lee can see where he might have made a mistake or two, you know, and where he did well too. Part of coaching and film study, I mean, my breakdowns are positive. I don't ever try to look for chinks in the armor. That costs you money. You know what I mean? Like I'm celebrating someone's technique. So I think they're coming in at this. Yes, they both lost to 1 and 2. If you put Conor in there, 1, 2, and 3 in no particular order in the division. So there's no shame in either loss, but they're very different losses. You know. Like you said, you have the staph infection, you have the tough weight cut, et cetera, against another guy who's completely healthy on a full camp, you know, with notice, who just ran into that bear like everyone else, you know?
I don't know if you used to agree with this, but I think on the surface, I think Kevin Lee will have an easier time, or Kevin Lee's coaches at least will have an easier time game planning for Barboza than Barboza's team will have game planning for Kevin Lee, because I feel, even personally, when I'm looking at Kevin Lee, I can't quite pin down the type of fighter he is just yet, because he does a lot of things pretty well. I think his strong suit is definitely his grappling, his wrestling, but I think his striking is quite good as well. He has good hands, but I just think that with Barboza, it's not saying that it's an easy fight for anybody, but I think you know what he's going to do. The problem is stopping it, but I think you do know what he's going to do. He's going to go in there with that traditional kickboxing style, that Muay Thai style, going to throw the leg kicks, going to throw the high kicks, the spinning kicks, the jab off the kicks as well. So I think you're going to know what he's going to do. It's just, you know, you do have to stop that. That's not saying it's an easy thing, but I think tactically it's going to be a lot more difficult for Barboza's team to come up with a game plan for Kevin Lee, because you're not sure what he's going to come in like.
It's a fair point.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Kevin Lee, we've seen in, like, think of the Chiesa fight. It was like, that's pretty quick. You didn't get there wasn't a lot to study for film, right? And the Ferguson fight was a bit anomalous. Anytime you're watching anybody fight Ferguson, it's kind of odd, right? Because it's the opponent. How are they squaring off with said person? It's like when you're watching Mayweather fight southpaws versus Mayweather fighting. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to keep in mind who the opponent is. Edson versus Khabib was using, like, he was trying to be more circular, jab, left, inside leg kick. He didn't even throw a right leg kick, I don't think. He threw one, I think. And Khabib almost caught it. So, fair play, right? But yeah, no, I think that's a completely legitimate point. I just think that little caveat there of who did they fight last, you know? So it's noteworthy.
For me as well, a lot of Barboza's advantages in this fight. I mean, the tools that he'd use is kicking, and he kicks with such lightning pace as well. But to use the old thought process as well, but it's old because it's true in some ways as well, is throwing kicks, you leave yourself more susceptible to the open field takedown, if you like that. If Lee times one of them, he can take it down. And like Barboza, I can't remember the last time he actually got choked out, but I know he's been finished in his career submission wise as well. And this is where I see this Barboza. He's been choked.
Ferguson and Cowboy.
Yeah, so he's susceptible to getting choked out. He's susceptible to submissions. So
he has been clipped as well.
No, he has. Yeah, but
clipped as well.
For me, I just saw. Seeing it with the takedown and the style of wrestling that you're saying that Lee adopts, I can see him getting this to the mat, and I can see him getting a sub. Probably coming off, the kick might land. It might be a heavy leg kick, but he'll catch the kick and follow through and push through with a strong takedown and just progress like the way Khabib done, but progress up against him, hold him down, and get the sub. When Barboza's trying to get back to his feet. That's where I can see this one going. So I'm going to be picking Kevin Lee by submission.
One technical note you just kind of made me think of by saying that, Noel, is say he's doing like his switch kick is one of his best weapons, if not his best weapon offensively, right? Yeah. Or that being Barboza, because of its speed.
Yeah.
Interestingly, they're in a closed stance because they're both primarily orthodox, if not always orthodox fighters. Kevin Lee's best weapon is he's got like a no-sell too, that'll just throw out bang. It's power, a lot of power on his right hand. So because that switch kick's coming to set arm, it's interesting. Like that's a chess match within itself. Like how do you hold set arm? If you plan on catching to run the pipe for a single, like that's going to be interesting in the open field. That's a little. I mean, it seems insignificant, but it's not. You're talking about their two best weapons. As far as stand-up's concerned. And that's why I think it's going to be a footwork chess match. Yeah. Who's creating the better angle to get, because angles is so broad. Sure. And then defining it is impossible. Like I'd have to give you specific examples. Watching something, you can't just go with this guy who's left when. It's not more complex than that. But good point. That just made me kind of think of something.
Pick wise, I'm with Kevin Lee as well. I just think he's gonna be a little bit more dynamic with his takedowns. I think he's gonna mix it up. I'm interested to see how Barboza comes in, how he's feeling with those takedowns. If he's hesitant at all, I don't think he will be. He never really is. He has been in fights where he's been taken down and it's fine. But that could be a beatdown was a different kind of beatdown, I think, than he's ever had in his career. Yeah. So I'll be interested to see how he comes back from that. Is he going to be hesitant? If he is, could be interesting. We always talk about it, and like sometimes you kind of forget to say it. It is when a guy is threatening more than one thing, like threatening the grappling, threatening the striking. Yeah. It is more things for a guy to think about, so you have that in your head, and I think Edson's going to be thinking about that. We always kind of just skip over that because it's like an old school way of looking at fights, but it still does exist in MMA in 2018. So I'm going to go with Kevin Lee to be able to mix it up, get some takedowns, and I'm going to say finish maybe like mid-fight, halfway through the fight, maybe like a choke or something.
So what you're saying is at 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Exactly halfway,
round 3.
Yeah.
That's when the sub comes. Beautiful.
I'm going to say I'm a big fan of Mark Henry, and I'm a big fan of Dewey Cooper. And that's
nice.
What else?
How's the fence, Brendan? Did you get it repainted, or the fence you're standing on, or sitting on?
That's why I put duality. It's all about balance.
Beautiful. Co-main event. We've seen it before. We're going to see it again. Will we get the same outcome? Frankie Edgar taking on Cub Swanson. Of course, they fought previously back in 2014, and it was Frankie Edgar gets the submission.
Fairly one-way traffic.
With 4 seconds to go in the fight. But it was fairly one traffic. Interesting with this, where we're talking briefly about coming off losses, coming off thing. Cub looked like he was gone from the UFC. Didn't look like he was going to be re-signed. He was removed from the rankings. There was a lot of stuff like that coming off the loss as well, of course, to Brian Ortega with that choke of death, while Frankie coming off a loss to Brian Ortega, but interestingly knocked out for the first time in his career. Has the notorious Frankie Edgar chin now gone?
That Brian Ortega guy is good, isn't he?
This Ortega guy, I haven't heard of him. Brian Ortega, I believe his name is. But so for me,
you a fan of his?
He's all right. He's a dreamboat as well. Them eyes, I get lost in them. But back to the fighting. Swanson looked like he was gone from the UFC and is being signed and brought back in against Frankie, while Frankie suffered the first, and it was a vicious finish as well by Brian Ortega. So they're going to do it again. Will we see the same result, or has Father Time, the expiry on that chin, is that now susceptible, and does Cub Swanson have the tools? Because it didn't look that way from their first fight. So what's going to be different? Basically, the long end of my question. What's going to be different, Brendan?
Who's more handsome? So I think one thing I want to say about Edgar's chin is that it wasn't as though it was granite in the first place. It was his moxie. It was his ability to recover, which is a little different, right? Someone like a Mark Hunt, or like, I think of like old Kimbo Slice street fighting videos of going like, hit me. Letting guys hit him, just walking through it. Angel Dust helped, of course, but that said,
very good.
There's a difference between having a big block chin of granite and being able to recover quickly, or being mentally tough, or whatever it is that goes into recovery, right? So is his chin any worse than it was before? I don't know, because that happened with Gray Maynard, where he was getting clipped, what was that, 8 years ago? I mean, that was forever ago. Really, it was a while. So if you're Cub and you're banking on a shattered chin, I think that's a terrible game plan. I think you work on your takedown defense, and you hope that your striking has a little more efficacy than it did last time. Cub's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, man. He shouldn't be that uncomfortable on the ground. But so is Frankie with wrestling. It's who's made more strides. I've seen neither of them make drastic strides since the last fight, to be honest. We've seen them both lose, differently, right? Cub's taken a lot of damage too, man. We've never seen him flatline, but he's that fight with oh God, was Superboy?
Yeah,
what was that crazy one?
Do Ho Choi.
Yeah, that was a war, and Frankie's been in wars. They've both been in wars. I think one of the two of them, it could kind of be like kind of even back and forth, close fight, or one Frankie could go in and dominate again, or Frankie's chin is, as said, maybe hit its expiry date and Cub walks away. I see all of those as completely possible and plausible.
It's one of those fights where if it happened like a year ago, I think I wouldn't have any question. I'll be picking Frankie Edgar straight away. And I'll just say right now, I am going to pick Frankie Edgar, but you do have to look at that chin. I don't like that knockout loss was pretty bad, and he's coming back really, really quick. Really quick. That's probably too quick.
I agree with that.
Yeah, it's probably too quick. Yeah, and I think his mindset going into this, and Frankie's just a fighter, but I think going into this is just that he beat Cub Swanson. He feels like he matches up really well with him, which I think is true. But everybody can get hit, and Cub Swanson can crack. So it's one of those fights where, like, I think if Cub Swanson wins it, he probably finishes him. He probably lands something big and finishes him. But I just see a similar style fight. I just think Frankie Edgar's takedowns are too good. I don't think he's going to mess around too much on the feet. Cub Swanson has decent takedown offense, but I just think the way Frankie goes for the first shot, if he misses it, he'll get the second one. He'll go for the third one. He'll go for the fourth one. He'll keep going for it until he gets it. And I think Cub Swanson couldn't deal with that in the first. I don't know if he's made the improvements, as you said, to deal with it in the second. So I'm going to go with Frankie Edgar, but I just don't like how quick he's coming back. I think it's way too quick.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That was going to be my number one reasoning in this, and I throw it back to good friend of the show, Brendan Schaub, on Below the Belt with Frankie, and Frankie said that he needs the money. He wants to fight for the money, and I didn't like that. It seems like, well, you were former champion. Why?
Edgar said that?
Yeah, Edgar was saying, he's a few more fights. He wants the money and stuff, and that for me is it's not obviously the wrong reason. Everybody wants to make bank. But it was weird. The turnaround, like the T-City fight was only like just over a month ago.
Wow.
And he was badly knocked out. So he would have got, from that, he would have got a suspension from sparring. Do they really do that when they go back to the gym? That's another thing. But,
unspoken thing.
Yeah. So, for me here, because of that, I'm swaying with Cub.
Well.
Interesting.
And it's like if you said this fight 6-8 months ago, I'm picking Frankie. Frankie's movement, I love how Frankie gets in for his takedowns. He just pop, 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 and he's moving, and his head movement is phenomenal. And he's just and then he gets in, he takes you down, he beats you up a little bit, and you get back up, and he's up again.
Good footwork, right?
Incredible footwork.
Footwork.
But then you bring in Cub Swanson has that little bit of unpredictability in his striking as well. Sometimes he can just go real. No, I'm just going to throw this overhand baseball throw at you here all night, and that's all I'm going to do. And then he shows this array of different techniques and unpredictability, capoeira kicks and somersault kicks, and so he has that in him. And I just think if he cracks Frankie's not going to have the opportunity to recover, the way he did when he fought Maynard, the way he did in other fights. Like I just don't see that in him anymore, and it's sad to say that, but I'm not saying Frankie Edgar does what he does again. Not surprised in the slightest. For me, it's the time scale here. And Cub Swanson's the guy who was the bridesmaid, you know. And a couple of times he was the bride. He was the bride of he was the maid of honor. You know, he was just that close. For a long time, it looked like Cub was just there. And then he ran into Frankie Edgar.
That's been Frankie since he lost the title, isn't it?
Yeah, but so. I don't know. I just think that maybe, you know, Frankie's had too many wars, and I think if this fight even was another 2 months down the line, 3 months down the line, I could be picking Frankie. I just think it's too soon.
The mindset thing is an interesting one, because I think if Frankie's coming in here saying, I'm doing it for the money, I'm doing it to get that taste down my mouth from that loss, I'm really upset about that loss, I just want to get a win.
Look at Bisping.
But then if Cub on the other hand is coming in, who just finished his contract, signed a new deal. I'm pretty sure he has a kid on the way, or else just his girlfriend just gave birth to a newborn. And then coming in and saying, I just got Frankie Edgar here. If I beat him, I'm back up. I'm in there. I'm back in the game. Two different mindsets coming in, so it'll be interesting with that one as well.
I think, you know, what's interesting about this is since their fight, this is a great example of styles make fights. Like the way they both fought Ortega. Like Cub did well against Ortega until the choke. You know, I mean, the end of the first was just time ran out, I guess.
Save with the bell.
Amazing, but he won a good 3, right? I think he won 3 rounds.
Two.
But he was clipping Ortega standing, whereas Edgar was for like a minute or 2, maybe 3, and then that's it. You know what I mean? And he got bested standing, not via, you know, that magical leap guard guillotine. But Frankie decimated Cub in their fight. You know, it's an interesting little like who's going to tweak better, and the chin thing's going to be, you know, I think it's a side note more than a main attraction of that fight. You know,
but with the side note though, Brendan, I think it would be naive or silly to ignore that was only like 38 days ago or something.
That's the part that makes it huge. Is the time in between it and now, right? Not enough. Yeah, I don't think.
Like you look at
if it were like proper 6 months or whatever the case. Then I think it was more of a footnote. You know, but I think when you combine it with how long it's been, then it's, you know, right up top of the liner notes or whatever.
Example A I give you, I know it's completely different weight classes, different men, different whatever, but is Michael Bisping stepping in against Gastelum. Similar time frame, 30 odd days later.
I think that's a great point.
I said in the back. It's definitely one that's
even though George knocked him almost out and then choked him out.
Yeah, he was gonna
put him to, you know, he was out. Same thing. Too soon.
Yeah, I agree.
So who are we going with? Cub?
I'm picking Cub.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Frankie for a similar type of fight. Maybe a decision though. But similar, I think he's just going to out-grapple him, out-maneuver him on the floor.
I'm admittedly biased, but because of him being a Hansel guy, I'm going to go with Frankie.
Your next bout of the evening then is the greatest MMA fighter on Twitter, Chase Sherman, taking on Justin Willis. The gift man Sherman here. What do we think, Rob? He's needs a win.
Yeah, he needs a win. I really think this is a difficult fight for him because Justin Willis has a serious amount of power in his hands. Yeah. He can wrestle. Chase Sherman likes to get into a scrap, and I just think a heavyweight with Justin Willis, who is on a decent run. He's only 6-1, but you know, heavyweights generally don't have a whole lot of fights unless they're guys at the top. A lot of young heavyweights coming up, so I think this is a difficult fight for Chase Sherman. I think if he gets into a brawl like he usually tries to get into a brawl, I think he's going to have problems because Willis has a lot of power. Willis likes to work on the ground a little bit, but generally I think it's going to be a stand-up fight, and I just think Chase Sherman's going to get into that brawl that he generally does, and he's going to get clipped.
Yeah, he's coming off.
Hey Rob, what are you looking at for your stats right now?
Which?
Like, what are you looking at a statistic thing where? Because you just said 6-1 about Willis.
Oh, Topology.
I just have a question.
I have Topology here for the cards.
Okay. Does that say like his age?
Yes. This is a Brendan Dorman special.
Yeah.
Asking the question when I don't have it available.
Whose age are you looking for?
Willis.
Willis is 30.
Is 30.
Which for heavyweights, I guess, is kind of a norm.
Pretty
How
average.
many of those 6-1s are a knockout? Does it say that?
It does indeed.
1, 2, 3.
Well, Aidan, you were dead right about Brendan Dorman.
4 out of 6.
I love Aiden. That dude rules.
Yeah.
4 out of 6, right?
Yeah.
So Sherman's got to not leave his chin out. You know.
Yeah. And
I don't think this one's all that complicated to break down.
Yeah, exactly. Like especially heavyweights, young heavyweights who like to brawl. You know, go.
But when you have one that's a little more accurate, a little hungrier, and showing improvement, Chase Sherman hasn't shown a lot of improvement besides his tweets.
Yeah.
Which are good.
I like the guy. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm not disparaging him, but Willis we've seen improve his last 3 fights. So.
As well, you got to look at that was insane. He got finished fast against Shamil Ardurmarkominov.
Yeah, I can't pronounce it. That's what I can't do. Yeah, that was a quick one.
That was kind of anomalous, though.
Yeah, but man.
Yeah, so I think it's safe to say we're all sort of saying he's got to keep the chin in, Sherman. But I see Willis again. The big guys, you know, it's gonna come down to that, isn't it?
You never know.
The heavyweight show, you never know.
Yeah,
you know?
who lands the big shot?
You know, Stipe.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, flip a coin. Dave Branch taking on Thiago Santos as well on this card. Again,
interesting.
Great card.
Yeah.
Branch, sorry, I thought somebody would jump in somewhere when I just started.
I thought you were just admiring the card. You're like,
then I'm like, all right, well, I'll continue then.
Yeah.
Of course, Branch was, when he came in, a lot of people were pretty excited for Branch, especially when he got the champ. When he got the Luke Rockhold fight as well. But Rockhold sort of showed the whole thing of levels again, and sort of made, you know, Branch look a little bit normalised and said, hey, welcome to the UFC, mofo. Was scheduled to fight Yoel Romero back in February, so that's a crazy one. But instead he gets Thiago Santos. Brendan, what's your thoughts on this one?
It's interesting because it's kind of like, well, obviously I have rooting interest in one guy, not the other, again, obvious. But with Branch, you have this boxing that shows in flashes, and jiu-jitsu that just doesn't show enough.
Yeah,
he used to do privates with Renzo for years. This guy, that's how I know him. I wouldn't even have known him until maybe his World Series of Fighting AJ fight, you know, with Rumble. But minus that, I wouldn't know much about Branch. Those are the things I know.
Yeah.
So I know him to be pretty well-educated black under Renzo. We don't see it, you know. I want to see that. I'd love to see a little, you know, box his way into a jiu-jitsu type situation. Will we? I don't know, because he's not going against a doofus when it comes to the ground game.
Yeah.
You know, talking about two very competent, just groundsmen. You know, we'll see. I think one has more of a chance standing than the other, but I don't know. We'll see. I want to see them get to the ground. I want to see that chess match.
Yeah, I definitely give the edge to Branch if it goes to the ground, if he gets on top. But
his top game's heavy.
Yeah, but Thiago Santos recently has been very, very difficult to get to the floor, and he's kind of surprised me a little bit with his with the run that he's been on. He's been knocking people out. Yeah, a lot. He has a lot.
I think the last 4 fights are by TKO or
TKO, right?
Yeah, and that was after the 2-fight losing streak he had with Gegard, which, to be fair, Gegard Masasi, there's no shame in losing to him, and then Spicely by submission. It's a bit of a weird one. But Thiago Santos, he's been really, really impressive lately. David Branch's last one with Luke Rockhold, He looked okay for some of the fight. He actually did wobble Rockhold a little bit. And then
I feel like he was winning that at first.
Yeah, he was winning it. And his boxing looked pretty good. He was landing some good shots.
Yep.
And then eventually Rockhold got on top. And I think we've said it a couple of times on the show. I think Rockhold's ground game is better than his striking. I think it's more effective. I think when he gets on top, he's just an absolute animal.
Because defensively, his striking is weak.
Yeah. Good point.
He has great offensive striking.
Yeah.
He's not good defensively. Yeah. His ground game is masterful.
Yeah.
He's amazing. Luke Rockhold is incredible on the ground. Yoel didn't shoot on him.
Yeah.
Yoel, who went into Jacare's guard willingly.
Yeah.
Think about that. Yeah, Luke is a phenomenal grappler. So, not to talk about him too much, but that said, him besting anyone on the ground, Weidman, you name it, doesn't take anything away from that person, really. Like, I tapped to a Marcelo team, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And you might still be nasty. You know, it doesn't, I don't know. So I think if it stays standing, you know, it goes one way. If it goes to the ground, it's going to be interesting, but it favors the other a little more slightly.
Yeah. That's how I'm feeling about it. I think that Branch, he can work in his takedowns. I think he'll try. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get it. I think Santos has done a really good job of being able to stay on his feet. And then on the feet, I just think he's a little bit quicker to the punch. I think he has slightly better striking overall. He's a little bit quicker. I think that's the big one. I think he's a little bit quicker. He kicks
too. Branch doesn't kick a whole lot.
Yeah. And Branch sometimes he's that guy who he'd be looking for openings and he'd be a little bit. He doesn't really land the whole lot. He's not a big volume striker. He'll land a couple of shots and he'll look for openings. Whereas Santos will blast in leg kicks. He'll blast in kicks to the body. So I just think he's going to win at least on. I'm looking at on points, but he probably could finish him as well. But I'm going to say Santos wins on points.
Yeah, I'm not going to... I'll just keep with the assessment that standing, I think, goes one way, ground goes another. I'm not picking against Enzo guy.
I loved Branch when he was on MAR.
Yeah,
Ariel,
when he was calling Ariel out.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, watch it. He was giving Ariel stick. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
What, like, was it real or was he just like...
No, it was real.
No,
WWE?
It'd be real.
Yeah.
It'd be real.
Yeah, because that dude's a G.
Yeah. Oh, man.
He's
intimidating.
We were talking about gangsters last week.
Yeah.
He's a New York, like, he's a G. That guy doesn't fucking play.
I don't think Ariel was expecting it. No. I don't think he was expecting it.
Good.
Yeah.
Not in the slightest. Yeah, it was brilliant.
I like that. I mean, Ariel, you know, he's not going to fool someone like me with his, like, little aerial tricks. When someone senses that he's doing that, sometimes people go back at him hard. Khabib being one, you know?
This is number one bullshit.
It was excellent.
Make your pick.
I love him.
He's a number one bullshit guy.
I'm going to go with Branch in this one.
Nice.
And the reasons being, I loved him on it now. I just think, you know, he dipped his toe in the UFC, and it comes with nerves. And I just think the Luke Rockhold fight, he had his good moments in it.
He did.
But there's the whole levels thing. I think he was intimidated by that fight. If you get me, it was a main event in the UFC, and I think
not the person, but the atmosphere.
Yeah, I think that built a little on it. And I just think you're going to see a hungry, determined Dave Branch here. I'd look forward to see it going on the ground as well, but you can't underestimate, as much as we're saying jiu-jitsu and both guys, jiu-jitsu background, Santos has been killing guys with stand-up. But I don't know, I fancy Branch here, work his way in, maybe get the finish, shot selection, get it down to the ground, maybe get the submission.
It's a decent one. It's one of those...
Santos has a good ground game. A really good ground game.
Yeah. It's one of those fights, though.
It's
one of those fights, though, that the winner will push themselves into that kind of top 8 guys. They'll be in with a shout of fighting one of those. So yeah.
Break into the hashtag calm.
Yeah. Very good.
Your opening fight on the UFC card is the Pikey. Brett Johns taking on Aljamain Sterling, the Funk Master taking on the Pikey. I really like this fight.
Yeah.
You've got Sterling coming off the loss. There was a lot of heat going into it against Marlon Moraes. And then you've Brett Johns coming off the calf slicer as well. In his UFC,
he had a couple of fights in UFC.
Yeah, it was the Ultimate Fighter finale. But Brett Johns, had the 30 seconds into the first round job. The calf slides are beautiful. But this is a great fight for both fighters as well, because Aljamain was sort of on the trajectory going up.
Yeah.
He gets that loss against Moraes, and the trajectory sort of stops and goes, oh, hold on. Yeah. And now he's get Brett Johns, who is ascending. So, again, to go with the theme of today's show, Rob, you can steal the thunder and the momentum of your opponent, and that for Sterling is a good thing, but for Brett Johns it's a good name and getting the defeat over Aljamain Sterling.
It's a big name. This is a very interesting one because Brett Johns, I think, does his best work when he can mix in his grappling, which we saw with the calf slicer, but he actually is a fairly good wrestler for someone from this side of the world. And he's good when he can get into his boxing range, which is kind of where Aljamain Sterling can keep it away from. Aljamain Sterling is an excellent wrestler, really good wrestler.
And long,
very long. Uses those teep kicks to keep it away. So I'm just very interested to see if Brett Johns can get on the inside. I'm not sure if he can, but if he does, it could be very interesting. I just don't know if he can get on the inside, and if he can get there, will he get takedowns? It's a tough ask. I think it's a big step up for Brett Johns.
Oh yeah. Did he fight in Bama at all?
Cage Warriors?
No, I don't think
Cage Warriors.
Yeah, Cage Warriors.
Yeah, because it would have been a little while ago, right?
Yeah.
From the scouting report on him, it is essentially good hands, good movement, and submission abilities. His wrestling isn't, Ben Askren, of course, but it's capable. And when you have good hands, that it tends to come to you a little better. But he's got interesting submission setups. Like he does them a little different, a little Ferguson-esque. Not quite, but you get the point. I think there's like 1,000 ways this fight could end or go, because Aljo's got power. He's got knockout power. He has really good submissions. His fight with was it Henan Barao? He looked like a world beater.
He looked great in that fight.
Aljo's one of those guys, and you should see him in the gym. I mean, he's a savage, man. He's a great fighter. That Moraes fight was, getting caught. It happens. I didn't take away from that he all of a sudden sucks. The guy's a great dude for one, and a great fighter for two. But he's going against a guy that's no slouch, who's a riser. And I think he's in pretty good favor as far as the company, as far as the matchmakers. It seems anyway. There's a little kind of underground push for that guy. So, standing, Aljamain's got better length, maybe a little better speed, but I think I don't know. I feel like one is more schooled, one has a little more X factor. Like Aljo has more of an X factor type striking 101 thing going, or the other way around. He's more unpredictable, whereas it's Johns with an S at the end is more 101.
Look, I find this really. I think this is a really tough one to pick. I really do. I think.
It's hard for the reason as well that Johns has never been beaten before.
He's
15 and 0.
So what is he like? Well, how many wins does he have?
15.
Wow.
Yeah.
So his only loss was on the Ultimate Fighter?
No, he has.
No, he wasn't.
Was he on Tough? I don't watch Tough. I don't know if he was on Tough.
He wasn't on Tough.
Losses count when they're like the preliminary ones.
No, he wasn't on Tough.
No losses.
Okay.
0.
So he's undefeated. Jesus.
Yeah, and he has some good wins.
I thought so, but I thought it was like 6-0 or something. I didn't think it was that high.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's the trajectory, isn't it, that you kind of brought up, where Aljo, he was on that trajectory, and now he's not. Now Brett Johns is really pushing forward, but I just can't see Brett Johns being able to get the game that he needs to get going to win this fight. I don't know why. I just can't see it. I think that in the boxing range, I think Brett Johns can win, but I also think that Aljamain Sterling, and this isn't really an insult to Aljamain Sterling, he can make it boring. He can land leg kicks, he can land front kicks, he can keep guys away from him if he wants to.
He's actually really good in the clinch too.
He is good in the
boxing range and clinch range, they're actually a little different. He wants to be here, not here. He doesn't want to be here either. Johns, it's going to be about range. Good point.
I'm going to go with Aljo. I think maybe the betting lines will favour John slightly. I'm not sure.
They are.
No?
I'm looking online here. I can't even find
Can't see it.
Bookmakers.
They weren't out the other day on the site.
I think a lot of people will favour Brett Johns though in this, and for good reason. But I just don't see what he needs to do happening to win this fight. I just think Aljamain Sterling will be able to outpoint him. But yeah, Johns has a big future.
And he hasn't fought anyone at that level.
Yeah. It's a tough one. Great fight though. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Great fight.
See,
I'll be rooting for Aljo because I know him.
Of course.
Yeah, well, former guest of the show, Aljamain Sterling, so this means he's a former friend.
He was cool, you guys, right?
Friend.
He's a good dude, man.
Yeah, proper cool dude, yeah. See, me from this neck of the woods, you know, Wales, he's basically Irish. So Brett Johns, you know, 15-0, it's very hard to get, like you look at Khabib, very hard to get his you know, and I'm not comparing Brett Johns to Khabib Nurmagomedov, but I'm just saying when somebody has gone 15-0 and like Cage Warriors don't give guys tin cans, do you know what I mean? When you're fighting, when you're fighting at that level at Cage Warriors, you're fighting good guys at the same level as you. So his 15-0 is a very respectful 15-0. So
it's an O.
Yeah,
and O is always impressive.
But Aljamain Sterling, I get what you were saying, Rob. It's sort of hard to see where Brett Johns can get the fight to where he can.
He has one range where he wins to me.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You know, not to say he can't get it. Of course he can. Of course he can get right into hook range, feint a 2, throw a nice turn over the hip 3, knock him out. A lot can happen. Of course it can happen.
And he throws combinations very well, and he gets.
Brendan Dorman has just convinced me.
He's accurate.
Without comparing him too much to Frankie Edgar, but the way he kind of gets that entry into a takedown is very, very similar. It's kind of like that peekaboo boxing style where he's coming in, landing shots, and then tries to get a takedown. I just don't know if he can do that.
I didn't use that example on accident, Rob. Like, he does that.
Yeah.
Like, he'll come in to find range with his 2, but he'll use his right hand as a range finder, which throws people off.
Yeah.
Because you see it coming from this side, and you kind of lose sight of the fact that you should be up here for a hook. You know what I mean? So he'll take him off center by kind of shifting here with his right, and you're not thinking and defending. All of a sudden, I'm turning my hip over fast.
Beautiful.
He does that fast and well.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, man, this is a tough fight to pick.
It's a great fight.
It's a great fight. Very well matched.
I'm going Brett Johns. But it is. It's two young fighters. But again, Brett Johns' star is just rising. And, you know, that's the reason being. And I just, he has it there. He has the finish. He has the boxing submissions.
I don't remember what card, but I was talking about the crossroads effect, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's different ways. One's declining, one's, you know. Yeah. It's a crossroads fight in a way, but a different way. They're both young.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's the main card. Is there one that jumps out to you, Rob, on the undercard?
Is Jim Miller not on the main card?
No,
No, he's not.
I thought Jim Miller or Dan Hooker was the opener for the main card, but interesting.
He's fighting Dan Hooker, that's right.
Oh, it is actually.
It is.
I don't know what, yeah, Jim Miller, Dan
one more
Hooker.
fight.
One more
That's a good fight too.
Isn't there? I thought there was 1 or 2 really good ones in the prelims too.
Yeah. Well, Jim Miller, Dan Hooker, if we can talk about it for a minute, I think this is a very difficult fight for Jim Miller. I think in similar ways to the Brett Johns fight, where I see Jim Miller winning it is in the boxing range and in the wrestling. And I think Dan Hooker's got really good at defending takedowns, at keeping range. He's very long for the division. Jim Miller hasn't looked that great in his past couple of fights. He's been hurt a couple of times. Yeah. And Dan Hooker,
he's fought some good dudes though.
He has. He's fought some really good. Yeah, and this is
Hall of Famer.
This is definitely a step up in competition for Dan Hooker. But I think he's ready. I'm gonna go with Dan Hooker. Like I'm going with I wouldn't call Aljo a vet, but a vet in the UFC. Like I'm going with there. I'm going the opposite here. I'm gonna go with Dan Hooker to be able to beat up Jim Miller at range enough to get at least a decision.
Yeah, I agree. Like, as in, no disrespect to Jim Miller, but Dan Hooker just fought Mark Diakaze, who was quick twitch, real fast fighter, and he tapped him out. And Jim Miller currently on a 3-fight.
And look good on the feet as well.
Streak. Yeah, he did. But he's lost to Poirier, no shame. Anthony Pettis, no shame. Francis Canado, wouldn't be ashamed of yourself. But he's Jim Miller, for me, is a future Hall of Famer.
Absolutely. I love Jim Miller.
Yeah, again,
fucking warrior.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, if Jim Miller come out and won, you're like, oh fuck yeah, it's Jim Miller time. Yeah. Like, what tune does he come out? He comes out.
Do you do that on purpose? It's Miller time.
It's Miller time. He comes out to oh fuck, I see the color on the rain. He comes out to that tune. Yeah, Creedence. And it's like, it's Jim Miller, man. Here we go.
That's a get up song.
Yeah,
that's a get up song.
Yeah, it's the way some fighters come out to certain songs and you're just like, yeah.
Do you know what one I used to love?
Yeah.
Matt Mitrione.
Yeah.
He came out to Simple Man. Yeah.
By
Great
Skinner?
Skinner,
or did he do the Shinedown one?
No, Skinner.
Okay.
What's his name?
That cover was fucking disgusting.
What's his his name? He had the terrible Johnny Cash tattoo.
Matt Hughes had the worst walkout song of all time.
Country boy, country something.
Oh God,
I'm a country boy.
You're thinking
Alan Belcher.
Alan
Belcher came out to the When the Man Comes Around.
One time came out to Tool and it was the best ever.
Who?
Sorry. Rory came out to a song called 46 and 2 by Tool. It's a magical song if you don't know.
Tim Kennedy came out to Alice in Chains.
Yes.
Rooster.
Another great one.
No, but remember Alan Belcher. Let me get to my Alan Belcher story. He used to come to a certain point in the Johnny Cash song, and he only stepped into the octagon when that bit of the song came on.
Nice.
I think it was When the Man Comes Around.
Who did that? Belcher?
Yeah, I think it was When the Man Comes Around. Was it?
Yeah.
There's a man.
Yeah, that makes sense for him too.
Taking names. Anyway, Jim Miller. I have great memories, Jim Miller. I had
a quick little point on that fight.
Go for it.
I feel like Jim Miller represents kind of what we wouldn't say old school, but maybe last school, right? Generation Y, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a street fighter, tough guy.
I agree.
Granite chinned, not fancy.
Yeah.
Probably didn't play. He probably wasn't a D1 soccer player or basketball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not some super athlete.
Exactly.
He's a tough motherfucker.
Yeah.
Man, that Joe Lozon
going against someone who is the new school. You know, it's an interesting affair in that if you look at it through that lens, you know.
That's crazy. Actually, they were talking about they done a vote of best fights, and I'm only thinking about it now because we're talking obviously about Jim Miller. Them Lozon fights, the two Lozon fights. Holy shit, them two fights were fucking unbelievable.
The end of it when they were about lying down.
School guys, a street fight.
Oh my God.
Fucking
don't show that to your grandmother.
Lozon used to fight his brother to the death on their front lawn.
On the front lawn.
Nuts. Yeah. Savage.
They're the old school, man.
Bostoners.
They're the old school.
Yeah, it's all East Coast guys.
But this is a cracking card, and for you people in the US of A listening, it's free on the telly.
Yeah, let's quick under the radar each. I don't know if you have it up there, but if you don't, it's cool. You go. You can go first.
Under the radar. I think all the fights are not on the main card are shite.
Come on.
Now, Patrick Cummins, Corey Anderson is a good scrap. I like that. And Patrick Cummins better be wearing his Brunson tash.
Yeah.
What about my boy
Magomed Bibulatov? Yeah, versus Sasaki. I like that fight. That's an excellent fight. That's not my pick though.
Is that how you're saying it? Bubultov?
Bibulatov.
Bubultov.
No, I don't even attempt it.
Magomed. That tells you all you need to know about him.
He's just no Sharapov, you know. He's good.
Yeah. I like the Aspen lad, Leslie Smith. Aspen lad, I think is
turning into Carl Dard and just picking the women fights.
No, that's a great fight. That's actually.
I was just going to give him that same shit.
Yeah, that's a very intriguing fight.
Look at me, I'm Rob, the modern MMA fan.
Leslie Smith with her what she have like this kind of trying to unionize with the fighters. So she's gonna be in there with Dana White for the first time at the weigh-ins, and that's gonna be awkward as fuck.
Oh yeah. Dan. You make me say Dan for no reason whatsoever. Why did I say Dan?
I'm fucking with you. Yeah, it's a great fight.
It is a good fight.
Aspen lad is talented.
No, it is. Yeah, it is. That's like I think that.
What do we skip on the undercard? Skip one.
Jesus, some of
them. I feel like there was another. I don't know.
Sierra Bahad.
Oh yeah, the Afghani is a great fighter.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, okay. Ryan LaFleur, Alex Garcia is good too. Yeah. Alex Garcia.
I trained with Ryan LaFleur a few times at his gym in Long Island.
Yeah,
he's got Long Island MMA because he's affiliated with Henry. Yeah. So I met Henry there. Blah blah blah.
Seems like a good dude.
Yeah, good dude. Ryan LaFleur is one of those guys. He was shown flashes of brilliance, but then he'll have an off night. You know, it's been inconsistent. But I like him a lot as a person. So,
awesome.